What do I mean by being ugly? Now, probably the most common thing would be when I'm referring to looks or bodily appearance and whatnot. Being ugly is more than just about looks. It can be about personality, how you behave around other people, your sense of humor, and so obviously, it would be logical to reason that the reason why I have no friends, people who I can call up on, have a conversation with, find someone to willingly hang out with me, is probably safe to say because there is something ugly about who I am. And like I said, it's more than just my looks. And growing up as a child, I was teased a lot more often than your typical student was. I mean, I was probably bullied more frequently than what most people would experience bullying. Uh, Even despite the fact that I grew up in a very affluent environment, my parents were really well off and whatnot. I was teased quite a bit more often than even other kids who would be teased on a more frequent basis. Uh, and so that kind of led to some challenges. But interestingly enough, I would still have friends, and I would still have people to hang out with, and I even had a close friend, pretty much all the way up until I was about 18 years of age. We met like in first grade, and we became like really close friends all the way up until age 18. I hung out with a couple other people. So pretty much I generally had friends all the way up until around my mid 30s. And that is when things kind of really fell by the wayside. And so pretty much since my mid 30s, I've essentially had no friends. And like I said, that's kind of a term that I guess I could kind of use loosely because I mean, you've got like online friends, you've got, acquaintances, but I'm referring to like friends in which you can actually like hang out with, like physically, be able to like, you know, chat, be able to like hang out, do whatever it may be. And I can attribute that to is there is something ugly about myself. And even like when I post on Facebook and I try to be funny and I think I'm being humorous and I find myself laughing at a particular video I make, I find that especially on Facebook or Instagram, it's like people are just they're not really seeing any humor. And it's like I would think that if they were finding it humor, they would at least respond saying that was funny or that was awesome or whatnot. But I feel like there are strategic ways to be humorous that are going to help attract people towards you, and then there are ways that you can try to be humorous, but that are going to make you sound like a turd. And I have the feeling that my sense of humor, the way I try to come off as funny, is making me sound like a turd. And so, hence, kind of it's an ugly way of being humorous. My personality is probably it's not charismatic. I'll say that. Um, More than likely, that's due to my depression and anxiety as to why my personality is not even close to being charismatic at all. So it's, one thing that programming has taught me and this field I'm going into has really taught me is if something is not working, then there is obviously a malfunction, as I would say. Someone who is positively, in a good sense, humorous. They know how to socially interact with other people. They know how to say the right things. They're attractive. I mean, let's face it, even physical attractiveness is really important. It's going to help them be able to make friends and whatnot. But if you don't have any of those things going for you, then obviously you're going to have difficulty making new friends, establishing relationships and whatnot. And so pretty much it's like, cause I mean, it's not like I'm just like sitting in my apartment all day, never venturing out and whatnot. I mean, I'm pursuing a master's degree in data science. I'm doing it part time right now. I get out there and ski. Obviously, I come across a lot of people when I'm skiing on the mountain. Even during this time when we're having to like socially distance and whatnot. I'm doing cycling. And then, of course, before the pandemic, I was doing obstacle course racing, Tough Mudder, Spartans, even going to like post after parties and whatnot. So it was not like I wasn't not putting myself out there, but there is something that is that I feel is really ugly about myself that is repelling people from me. That is inhibiting me from being able to establish those relationships. And one thing, and I'm going to make a separate video about this, that's really interesting about data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, is let's just use an example. I'm just going to kind of create an example here as to why this field is really exciting and how I feel it could ultimately reduce, if not potentially end, loneliness and help all of us who feel ugly inside to one day feel attractive, not physically, but attractive overall. Because that's when it comes down to making friends, when it comes down to dating, finding intimacy, it all comes down to having that attractive personality, a combination of looks, personality, humor, the way you speak. And so let's say that you decide to have 100 people have a 45-minute conversation with an interviewer. The interviewer will ask the exact same questions to every person, and these 100 people have a good close circle of friends. They're in a relationship, and you do some analysis on their voice patterns. Like you have some interface that's like measuring their speech rate, their voice amplitude, what their range of amplitude is, pause between words, what's their frequency of saying certain types of words, eye contact, and you will probably notice patterns in these people's speeches, and these people's speech. Now take another sample of 100 people, and they speak with the same interviewer, same exact environment, but yet these 100 people have no friends. They've never had they've pretty much never had a relationship, and you would probably notice differences in speech patterns, amplitude, voice inflection patterns, eye contact, body posture. What I'm getting at is I feel like this artificial intelligence, the use of machine learning, with advanced machine learning models and whatnot, is the way it's gonna lead to the way to ultimately reduce what I kind of refer to as and I shouldn't say I've read the term in articles, and it's called death. I can't, now I'm losing my train of thought. Death due to disparities, meaning like sometimes they can't really rule out an overdose death as a suicide because it could be accidental or it could be suicidal, but they're calling these like deaths of disparities, meaning people who are in despair oftentimes may resort to using drugs, like hard drugs like heroin, cocaine, or they may, start, binge drinking. Regardless of whatever drugs they start becoming addicted to, sometimes to get that feel-good feeling, you're going to resort to using drugs. And so, if you get to the point where you become so accustomed to using this drug that you risk having an overdose, and whether or not it's accidental or maybe it's intentional, that's where kind of the line is drawn. They don't really know whether or not it's accidental or suicide in some of these cases. So what I'm getting at is I feel like it's going to become a combination of therapeutical methods in combination with using artificial intelligence to really dive deep into this art of social interaction, because there is a science behind this art of successful social interaction. There is an art to developing a more attractive persona within ourselves. That's what I'm getting at. Someone who is ugly, an ugly person, and I'm not talking about like this look. Like, once again, I'm not talking about my looks in general. I'm talking about my persona in general, because I have an ugly persona. it is a logical assumption to assume that that's probably why I have no friends. That's probably why I'm a loner. That's probably why I have difficulty finding a good job, where I can't even get an interview. I have no network. Is because my persona is ugly. And that leads to a lot of loneliness. That leads to depression, anxiety. It leads to questioning my purpose of my existence. And I know this kind of I know this is people will be like, you gotta quit, you gotta quit being, degrading yourself. But I'm just being honest. I'm perfectly being honest that I realize that there is something ugly about myself that is repelling people. I mean, so it's kind of difficult for me to really come up with videos where I try to be funny or whatnot, because maybe I'm laughing at them, but to other people, I may be sounding like a complete turd, just a complete idiot. And so that's kind of why I've been really hesitant on uploading any kind of videos where I kind of, I start laughing or whatnot, because really, I don't know if I'm really doing more harm to myself. So I've kind of come to the point where now that I'm really getting into this field of data science and realizing that there's a science to this art of social interaction, an art to having an attractive personality, the art to being attractive overall. And so I find it's best that I kind of have to adopt a neutral stance, meaning like when I'm going out skiing, maybe I need to stop wearing these bright colors when I'm skiing, because I wear this like super bright orange cycling vest and whatnot. And that's okay if I'm cycling, because you want to be seen. You don't want to have some car pull out and cold cock a car at some, miles per hour, and that could be really bad. But when I'm skiing and out in the mountain, do I really need to be flashing myself in bright colors? No. Maybe get like a gray or black, jacket. Pants are okay, but just kind of make myself more discreet. Not like, make it so I'm not like trying to grab attention. And when I'm out in the mountain and I'm doing cycling, why not keep a straight face? Don't like, start exaggerating or like try to just be like, I just need to kind of develop a foundation. I need to strip myself of whatever's making me ugly, completely strip of it. And the old adage is like, just be yourself and you'll attract people who like you for who you are. They will like you for being you. But I find some flaws with that, because unfortunately we do live in a society. I feel like we live in a society where you cannot truly be yourself. You've got to be within a range of what is acceptable to be able to fit in, to be able to be accepted, to be able to be loved. And if you're outside of that range, it's going to become more difficult, and you risk, spending more time alone and whatnot. So pretty much what I've got to really focus on, and next time I go skiing, I'm going to really be focusing on this. And tomorrow, I think I'm going to go out there and buy myself a gray, something that's aerodynamic, but like black or gray. It's something that's a lot more discreet. And when I'm skiing, I'm just going to focus on keeping a straight face. Of course, it doesn't really matter too much because I'm wearing a mask and whatnot, but just kind of keep a straight face. If I'm going to do a spread eagle, just kind of do it, really discreetly. Don't exaggerate. Just kind of like be serious and have fun. Like if I'm going to say I'm having fun, just be like, that was a pretty cool run. I'm going to do that again, but don't be like, whoa, I have the feeling that's really irritating to a lot of people when I start like yelling and hooting and hollering. So I just got to be like, or if I'm skiing or running the Alpental backcountry and it's becoming challenging, just be like, oh, yeah, this run doesn't seem to want to end. Okay, keep going. All right, I'm obviously slowing down. Just kind of be neutral. So there is a lot of work I got to do on myself, because it's kind of like an if-else statement. If something isn't working, don't continue it. If something works, continue with it. So obviously what I've been doing is not working. So I need to kind of switch the routine a little bit, make myself more neutral, strip myself of any annoyances, and just kind of start from the beginning. Maybe I can be like an observer, kind of watch how other people interact. What are the types of things they say? What kinds of things are likely to make people laugh? What can I do? And just kind of be an observer. And just kind of like build from the beginning. And then maybe once I get, more comfortable, then I can be like, if I meet, once this pandemic ends and I sit with someone in a chairlift, maybe I can be like, how's your day going? You've been up here in the mountain long? And just kind of start really super basic. And from there, that's where it starts getting a lot more complicated, and like being able to, how to, maintain a conversation and whatnot. But I just wanted to kind of get this video out there and just kind of share my thoughts on just the struggles of really feeling like that I'm being, just being ugly leads to a lot of loneliness, just a lot of emptiness, kind of a lack of purpose in life, kind of even hopeless. And, am I going to really ever amount to anything? So my battery's about to run out, so I'm just going to kind of cut it short before this video gets too long. But thank you for watching.